Let the Monday morning ruckus begin right now. This is things you might not have heard, and I'm going to present for you in moments the weekend's best and latest in information, politics, current events, and pop culture that has been curated by me, but of course, vetted by you. This is your supplemental go-to source for both mainstream and some unconventional stories that you may have missed, and we attempt to add some context for some people that you may not get a chance to talk to. That's the vast amount of folks around the world. If you're watching the video, yes, we're going to talk about her, and we're actually going to cheat a bit. We have 11 stories in the lineup for this morning, 11 stories from the top 30 of this morning, because there's so many stories that were connected, plus in the errors and omissions, a bunch of stories here as well. So we had a big weekend of news. Let's get into it right now. Remind you right now that we have a main website. We say it all the time. This is conversationproject.com. Go there for more details about what we do every single day to give you news and comments and commentary across the internets in various forms, and how you can help us in that form, including the feeds. We'll explain that in a bit. Oh, don't forget the second show. The fun stuff happens after all the news and the business stuff. So stick around for that one. You will enjoy. Today happens to be Monday, September 18th, 2023. Thank you for being with us for today's show. Let's get into the headlines right now, starting with headline the first being this one. YouTube removes all Ruby Franke content and threatens to ban anyone who re-uploads any. Now, we now have a pronunciation because I've seen a story where they said her name. It is Franke. The E is pronounced. So Ruby Franke and Jody Hillebrand have been arrested after officials discovered a child with visible injuries and signs of malnutrition in their care, in their viewing. All the videos from the Franke and Hillebrand brands of YouTube have been pulled. All the channel videos are done, and they, being YouTube, is going to threaten to basically get down on the big folks who, or the small folks who will try to re-upload the videos. Why would people re-upload the videos? They can get the views because they're popular YouTubers, and so they can get those views. Plus, they also are sort of showing a way of solidarity and support for Franke and Hillebrand. We will see how this one plays out because it's going to play out pretty big. Right now, we know that Franke's seeing like a whole bunch of charges, like 8 different charges or so for child abuse and other things along those ways. This is a story that would have definitely not even made my purview if I weren't, trying to be a bigger YouTuber. And this is a big, big deal. We're going to move on from here so we don't get banned with any sort of explicit tags on this one, but check out the story and go deeper in details for what happened with them and what's happening going forward. DirecTV to temporarily restore Nexstar-owned stations. Now, Nexstar, the local news station that owns a whole bunch of ABCs and CBSs, things like that, also a owner of News Nation, is going to go back onto the air for DirecTV. That's DirecTV Stream, and Uverse, the largest TV station network owners in the U.S. because of their dispute with DirecTV, has been off the air in many big markets, including Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, plus Denver. And so this is a big deal. This will only last until October 30th. No real deal has been done, or no finalized deal has been done. But for right now, you can get your local stations on your DirecTV for the moment. There were a lot of chats that happened over the week and into the weekend that got turned into some commentary. The big one was Donald Trump and his debut, or Kristen Welker's debut, on Meet the Press, with the interview they've been touting since Wednesday or so. This one is the one we're covering. Not covering that one. That one's got a whole bunch of coverage to come to. This one we're covering right here. Vivek Ramaswamy faces backlash after Fox News Sean Hannity shares GOP's candidate's plan to fire, this is a quote, fire 75% of government workforce. He said that. In fact, we're going to use his words against him in this one. Ramaswamy said, if someone works for you and you can't fire them, then they don't work for you. You work for them. I refuse to be a puppet in the White House who plays that game. If you can't work for the federal government as president for more than 8 years, neither will any of the federal bureaucrats who work for me. He added, and on day 1, January 20th, 2025, it is my job and duty, the next president of the United States under West Virginia versus EPA, to immediately rescind the effectiveness of the majority of these federal regulations. I'm not exactly sure why that is relevant, but you get sort of the point. Essentially, Ramaswamy is trying to do the Trump thing by actually do the Trump thing and saying, oh, we're just get rid of all these government folks, and just because they've been there too long and then we need fresh blood, which obviously shows he doesn't know how government works and exposing him for the him he is, the fraud. Let's move on. Libyan flood death toll rises to 11,300 in Derna, UN says. There's also about 10,100 people who are still listed as missing in the area of Libya itself, and Derna as sort of the center point of the flooding. This has been a major, obviously a major catastrophe going on with the numbers of people who are dead, are missing, and just the loss of property and the damage of the area. We're going to be dealing with this one for a while. These things take a while to clear up, especially with the amount of people that have to be buried, have to be honored in these cases. We're going to see how this thing plays out going forward, but we're not going to forget this one. This will definitely be updated as more people are looking for the missing and trying to literally find ways and places to bury the dead. Speaking of bury the dead, the metaphor there, Stephen A. threatened to quit ESPN if ESPN didn't demote Max Kellerman. Poor read, but guess what? We're back to Max Kellerman being the scapegoat for the ESPN's First Take show because we're talking about the joining of Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe, essentially, as Shannon Sharpe, the scapegoat for the demise of the Undisputed show on Fox Sports 1. Now, this is a really complicated thing, so very quickly, let me go into the details. Stephen A. Smith and a guy named Skip Bayless were once partners on something called First Take, which turned into a show called First Take. At some point in time, they're yelling at each other. The guy got split up because Bayless wanted more money or something like that. So Bayless went to another network and created the same show with a different black guy, obviously. Stephen A. Smith kept the show, but had various hosts trying to keep up with him because he's so big, so bad, makes so much money. And Max Kellerman, who's kind of been thrown around and beaten up around the world, came into the show and was essentially a match for Stephen A. Smith, going toe-to-toe with him and doing very great commentary and essentially keeping the show alive as people were getting tired of Stephen A.'s sort of shtick, just yelling and screaming and making funny faces. Stephen A. didn't like a lot of stuff and admitted on the Joe Budden podcast that he was going to quit if ESPN didn't get rid of Max Kellerman because he didn't want to work with him. And that happened. So that's admitted. Now, this also makes him a hypocrite because he has been touting Skip Bayless, who's saying he didn't like working with Shannon Sharpe and got him fired, which is why he's now spending a day a week with Stephen A. Smith. I don't know if that's a purgatory type thing. That's actually some sort of reward. He really needs the money, but it's all happening. Stephen A. basically saying he was going to leave if he was going to get rid of Max Kellerman, admitting out loud the stuff we already knew. He's got some issues. Let's move on to this story here, a very serious story, so bear with me as I go into the details I can. We want you to check out the full story and read it for yourself. This goes into Lane Kiffin, who is a football coach of very great stature, because football coaches, once you hit that level, keep getting jobs, even though they're kind of scumbags. The headline reads, Mississippi player sues coach Lane Kiffin school for lack of support during mental health crisis. Lane Kiffin's been around the block a few times. He had a lot of big major jobs, and right now at Ole Miss, University of Mississippi, and he has a player, the player's name is DeSantos Rollins, who was going through some mental health self-depression things and missed a bunch of meetings, missed a lot of stuff because of mental health. From that, he was kicked off the team. Now, he is suing, Rollins is suing Lane Kiffin and the school for not helping him with his mental health and essentially, in the time of need, getting rid of him. We're going to see how this thing plays out. This is not the worst of the suits that have gone against Kiffin, as he's known for cheating and lying and cheating. But this is maybe one of the heavier cases against Lane Kiffin that may actually stick some of the personality things to his work ethic things and may actually keep him from getting jobs going forward. Or probably not, because he's a big-time football coach. Drew Barrymore and The Talk postponed their daytime talk shows until after the Hollywood strike. So the story we had on Drew Barrymore, we thought we were going to talk about, was the fact that Drew Barrymore, The Talk, and all the chatters out there have to go on the air. They are obligated to go on the air because if they don't, they'll break a contract and their show slots could be lost. So Drew Barrymore, one of the first ones to say we're going back, followed by The Talk, followed by Jennifer Hudson, shows like that. Essentially, they all were saying, yes, we're coming back without writers, and we're going to figure out how to do that. And many folks were picketing the early tapings and things like that. Drew Barrymore's show and The Talk themselves say they're going to postpone their return until after the strike is over, or at least the writers' part of the strike is over. We'll see how well that actually plays out going forward. But we learned so much about daytime talkers, especially these like here. The View has writers and various people, including the White House communications director, did not go on The View because she's supporting the writer strike. They have writers. You would think that because they're monologues and things like that, even though they're supposed to be in their voices. But yes, there are people who write the scripts, write the various rundowns for what's going on, so they have coherent words. Whoopi doesn't go through and sit on my MacBook and type her things out herself. That's all scripted and put in teleprompters by writers. We're learning a lot about the backgrounds of talk shows right now. Didn't know that much is going behind the scenes. A reward is out for this story. The headline reads, LA Sheriff's deputy killed in ambush outside Palmdale station. A deputy sitting in his patrol car outside a station was essentially ambushed, and they're looking for details on the attacker. A dark gray Toyota Corolla pulled up behind a marked black and white cruiser, paused, then sped off after killing Los Angeles County Sheriff Deputy Ryan Chingbrucker, who's 30 years old. Basically, it's a target attack. Might be because he was looking for someone in law enforcement, might be looking for him specifically. There is a reward out for information on finding the person who did this and, of course, looking for the car. If you know anything about this, you can call the Crime Stoppers in LA at 323-890-5500. Crime Stoppers is 500-222-TIPS in Los Angeles. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is kicking out Jann Wenner, he is a wiener, off the board of directors. Why is that? He gave an interview because he's famous and helped found Rolling Stone magazine and worked with so many rockers all this time, and dropped the line that he didn't have any women in the article. Articles included words from folks like this doesn't have big time rocker guys like Bono and the Edge and Mick Jagger, folks like that. My notes don't have that in front of me, but saying people like Madonna and Joni Mitchell weren't articulate enough to be in the interview. Also, black people like Stevie Wonder aren't articulate enough to do interviews at that level. Essentially, black people who were sort of the founding of where rock and roll came from weren't smart enough to talk about rock and roll, and women in general aren't smart enough. So obviously, this is a bad thing. He's been pulled from the board. He is now accepting the consequences of his actions, doing all the apologies, the mea culpas, yada yada yada. Nobody cares. And finally, two quick stories as quickly because we are running a bit behind. Representative Lauren Boebert apologizes for getting kicked out of show and falsely denying she vaped. Now, Lauren Boebert apologized, did a real apologies, went on the tours, did on the TV shows, actually did a thing on Newsmax as well, sort of apologizing, because she was kicked out of Beetlejuice the musical. It's a family-friendly kid musical where she had complaints that she was vaping, being loud, all this other stuff, using a phone, causing a disturbance. Now she's, of course, backtracking from her original post saying that, she's going through divorce, she's kind of stressed out. All this is the divorce's fault. The divorce's fault is not the divorce is not the fault of the guy she took to the kids' musical because all dressed up and dialed up, who was, making the Boebert memes alive because they were doing a little bit of heavy petting inside of the play. And now we know that, yes, there's surveillance cameras in theaters, so be careful when you're sneaking in your gum and your candy from the store because they can see you. They can see you. While that's a whole nother issue, they saw Boebert doing her things. They have pictures of her walking out in a huff. They had pictures of her vaping and using her phone. She has to apologize because there is visible proof that she is doing stuff. This is where you'll normally say, go away, Lauren Boebert. Don't have time, running behind. Let's get to the next story, the 11th story, the bonus story, because it fits along this sort of realm. Headline reads, Mary South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem involved in alleged years-long secret affair with Trump advisor. This is not my day to jump on and pile on and beat up on Republican women for not doing family value stuff because, that day will come. Trust me, this is just a day where all these stories sort of melded, so they're here. Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, who's seen all the commercials, welding and doing plumbing stuff and saying, come work in South Dakota, essentially has had a long-time affair for years with Corey Lewandowski, the Trump advisor. Trump doesn't care. Trump seems to like it from all we can tell, and it's not going to really lower her stock anywhere. People say it may drop her stock politically nationwide. Maybe it will, but apparently everybody knows this. In fact, they're pretty open about it at the conventions, basically, sucking tongues in the middle of bars at the end of meetings. Is this family values? No. Is this good thing to show as a role model? No. Will it cause Governor Neom any issues? Probably not. Very quickly, for the apologies, errors, and omissions. What we're not talking about today, and what I wanted to get into, were some celebrity breakups and divorces. Actually, just all divorces. The one that sort of popped my attention, obviously enough, was Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Jackman, because I made a little video over the weekend about that. They're separating, not quite divorced yet, but separating after 27 years of marriage. The one you guys jumped onto, the one that actually got the most love, hate, or just engagement, was Jeezy filing for divorce from Jeannie Ma after 2 years. That one, after those two basically were sheltering in place during the pandemic and then got married, and after the pandemic was over, realized that they weren't for each other. 2 years, that's over. Plus, Tiana Taylor and Iman Shumpert break up after 7 years of marriage. This was a later edition story from the weekend, but this one got almost as much response as Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Jackman, and that one was posted come Friday or so. So it was a big deal for celebrity breakups. You guys cared. There is your mention. Can't go too much deeper into it because we are already running very long. Now, let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow, what will we talk about tomorrow? We could talk about this story here, and I really, really want to because, I really want to. This is the headline we could be talking about tomorrow if you deem it worthy. First, let's talk about how that worthy part works. Go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/This Is Conversation Project, Twitter.com, or of course X.com, th_conversation. Every 50 minutes or so, we post news stories across our platforms from various sources, and we want you to engage in them. Let us know if they are conversational, if they're newsworthy, they're worth talking about. The higher the engagement score, the more chance we have to talk about it on the next day. Tomorrow, we're going to give you 8 stories from top 15 stories of the day, unless my math is wrong and we do more. Today, of course, we gave you 11, should have been 10 stories from top 30 stories, and the errors and omissions as well. Cool. We'll be talking about this one because it's an interesting take that I hope lasts to the weekend, because I want to actually go deeper into this one for a story of the week. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer loosens Senate informal dress code. If you're watching the video, you are watching this and seeing kind of why. It is that dude from Pennsylvania who walks around in cargo shorts and tank tops, or not tank tops, or I guess probably tank tops under that, sweatshirts, and, is having his own issues. So they're not pressing it. So Chuck Schumer is saying, okay, the informal dress code is okay, but it also means dressing like that guy. Now, I have followed sports forever. If Shaq can be put in very good, fine-looking suits, this guy can put in very good, fine-looking suits. I don't know what the problem is, but we're not going to talk about that going forward right now. We will tomorrow, if you deem this one worthy of chat up. Go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter and engage in this story. Tell me you like it, you love it, you hate it. Share it with the folks. The more engagement it gets, the higher chance we have of chatting it up tomorrow. We will chat up another sponsor tomorrow, but today's sponsor we're chatting up is Zenni Optical. And this is mostly a slight to me, a poke to me, literally in the eyeballs, so I remind myself to buy my new glasses. I just had an eye exam, so my new glasses are very super obsolete, which I already knew that. So I need to get new glasses, new sunglasses, new sport glasses, the whole shebang, because it's been 18 months since I had my last exam, so it's been a while. My eyes have definitely changed. Zenni Optical is going to take care of me because I buy inexpensive glasses, the same ones for forever, and I can probably get my sunglasses, my regular glasses, and sports glasses for about $100 more or less. All 3 glasses for less than that, maybe even less than that, because they have affordable frames starting as low as $695. My frames are $695. The lenses are great. The technology is great. You can get blue blocking technology. You can get transitions technology. You can get tint like I do. You can get sports goggles that are very strong, very sturdy, and you get them all for a very, very good price. Check them out at Zenni Optical. Go to our affiliate link and help us out. We get a little bit back from this if you buy from them. This is a conversationproject.com/Zenni, Zenni. This is a conversationproject.com/Zenni. They have classes for women, for men, and for children, so anyone can be taken care of with Zenni Optical. The Conversation Project lives on the web at thisistheconversationproject.com, our home, our website, where we keep our stuff, if you will, and we have lots of great stuff for you. You can find this thing here in the video replay form or the audio replay form, or just the links if you don't like my face or my voice, right there every single weekday at the Conversation Project's website. You can find details on more of our sponsors if you want to really help us out and see who else is out there can do for you. They're there, all affiliate links. You can find links to our partnerships page where you can find out how you can help us directly keep things going here. And you can find links to other things we do on the smaller channels, Facebook and TikTok, where we drop in little bits of wisdom and little bits of commentary and little bits of, let's call it, haterism every so often to get you through your day. All that can be found directed through you at thisisconversationproject.com. Check it out today. All right, so we're running long, so we're going to go right into the fun stuff. We promise this every single day. It's called the second show, and the fun stuff begins right now. And we begin the fun stuff every single weekday morning with birthdays. And September 18th, no exception. We begin off with Jada Pinkett Smith, birthday of 52 years old on the day. Now, the lovely young lady who came to us essentially on the scene from a different world and time on Will Smith's other show, or I guess the real show, the real Fresh Prince, has turned into a star of her own, and of course married Will Smith, and of course maybe beating up Will Smith in many ways. The Smith family has a lot of things behind them, a lot of good things going on, a lot of money making things and entertainment things, and some of the weirdness that comes with being a Hollywood power couple. We have that, but we have to celebrate her in all her glory, and maybe some of her faults, Jada Pinkett Smith today at 52 years old today. It's kind of a tight-knit birthday wish day because James Marsden, believe it or not, is 50 years old. You may remember him from doing things like being in Mean Girls, where he was the subject of The Perfect Day. And you can believe that because all those people are almost 50 right now. James Marsden, of course, also doing a lot of other things, including being in X-Men and just kind of being a fairly good-looking actor guy, is 50 years old on the day. Oh, in the movie with Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm not sure that's going to be one of his greatest feats, but hey, it's a living. And Jason Sudeikis, who is big time right now, is doing his stint on Saturday Night Live now, being Ted Lasso, which I believe is over. I've never actually seen an episode of the show, so I don't get the hype, but people do. People love the Ted Lasso. People love Jason Sudeikis. He's had some issues with relationships over the past few years as well, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about him turning 48 on September the 18th. Today's history lesson, looking back into the past on the 18th of September, starting off going way back to 1789, where the American government took out its first loan. The total of that loan was $191,608.81. 81 cents is important because of interest. You know, the pennies add up eventually. But the first loan the government took out was in 1789, probably from the French, 191,608.81. In 1895, Daniel David Palmer, three first names, gave the first chiropractic adjustment. First time somebody went crick was in 1895. There you go. He invented it, I guess. And in 1964, now we're in the 1900s. Now this is big time stuff. The Addams Family premiered on ABC, the original TV show, the black and white, with Gomez and Morticia doing their thing on TV with Wednesday and Pugsley and Uncle Fester and It and Thing. The sitcom is based on the Charles Addams quirky New Yorker cartoon creations. A long-standing portion of the New Yorker were the Addams Family in there, and they became a great addition to the actual TV show, to TV lineup with the Addams Family, as technically one of the first Hispanic families on TV, although no one actually Hispanic, but of course, his name is Gomez. We're just going to dig that in there. And today, on September 18th, we're going to celebrate Cheeseburger Day. So go ahead and cue up the Jimmy Buffett as your earworm for today. Cheeseburger and paradise, or in this case, cheeseburger and less money. So it may be paradise. If you can't find a half price, low price, or no price cheeseburger today, you're not looking hard enough. Basically, every place that makes a burger on a national chain is going to throw one at you for half price, no price, low price, and get you great deals on that. So the link we have in our description for our media today is a link to the USA Today article on cheeseburger deals for today. Most of these things will run all week long. So not just cheeseburger day, but because you can't get everybody in on one day. Essentially cheeseburger week for many of these chains. Go check them out. Many of the big chains you love have a burger for about $1 that is usually $5, a burger for a penny that's usually $1, and a free burger that's going to have some sort of hoops you jump through. But hey, free burger. Go get you a free burger or a cheap burger or a low price burger on cheeseburger day and sing some Jimmy Buffett. I don't know if you like yours with lettuce and tomato, but cheeseburgers all around for today. And finally, one more thing you might not have heard. If you haven't been sleeping in the nude, you might be missing out on some major benefits. A study found that people who ditch their clothes before hitting the hay revealed they sleep better. About 80% of the people who sleep nude versus 60% of those who sleep clothed. And obviously, they have more sex. Well, it may be not be so obvious, but it just seems that if you're not wearing clothes and you have a partner there with you, you're probably being touchy more often. If you're by yourself, then I think it gets lost in the wash. Meanwhile, most of the new sleepers aren't saying it's about the sex. They're actually saying it's about being comfortable. Yeah, I read that on Friday. I didn't change it out. I realized that as I clicked the button. Didn't want to do any weird confusion. So yes, we're talking about the sexy thing twice. Tomorrow, let's hope I actually re-up this because I don't think I can do this for a third time. What I can do is apparently have all the slides out of order. There we go. That's not it either. So we're going to go to the right slide to wrap things up for the day. And we're going to pretend like none of this ever happened. If you're watching the video, you have no idea what's happening. So just assume something drastic happened. Something caught on fire. Babies are falling from the skies. And I had to catch one. In the meantime, today has been the Monday, September 18th edition of Things You Might Have Heard. Thank you so much for joining us for the show. And thank you for being a part of the family all week long. Thank you for everybody who watched the Things We Had for the Weekend, the Story of the Week podcast, and of course, the weekly wrap up, and being a part of letting us know what to talk about all week long, every single day. Go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter /X, and you can let us know the words that come out of my mouth every single weekday morning and for the weekend shows as well. Plus, you are also giving me the ideas of what I should be chatting up in my smaller pieces. I'm looking for things that catch my attention, but mostly things that you and I are sympathetical on. If you're engaging in a story that's really big and I'm kind of, steams in my ears on it, Low and Boebert, for example, we'll probably jump onto it. However, YouTube may be trying to shadow ban me. We'll talk about that another issue and another video to come forward. Meanwhile, stay hydrated, stay limber and on task for all the grand things you are here to do on this planet. We are so glad to have you with us. We are so glad to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining the crew and being one of us. We'll do this again tomorrow. It's just like this, only with less slide issues. Almost made it through the whole day. We'll do it again one more time tomorrow.